Attention all hands. As you know, we could outrun the Klingon vessels, but we must protect the Enterprise C until she enters the temporal rift. And we must succeed. Let's make sure that history never forgets the name Enterprise.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional TNG Podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds. Dory's a Star Trek novice. And we are taking her on our first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we'll be discussing the Season 3 episode, Yesterday's Enterprise. Original air date, February 17th, 1990. And as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay. Just a tiny thing before I start.
Sure.
So, I put on makeup earlier because I'm going out for dinner after we finish recording. And I cried twice.
Oh, no.
and I had the most perfect eyeliner.
Oh, no.
I fucked it up.
We even talked about how this was like the most perfect cat eye you've ever done.
It was really beautiful and I fucked it up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I refixed it. But this was an unexpected episode.
Yeah.
We were hoping it would be.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so recap. Okay, so we start in 10 forward. Guinan introduces Worf to prune juice.
Yeah.
Yep, this is that's actually a big moment in Star Trek canon.
Yeah, that actually becomes a thing going forward.
I love it. I love their friendship.
A warrior's drink.
Yeah. And Guinan sits down and she's basically like, hey, Worf, let's dish. How's your love life? Because maybe there's some people here you could get to know. And Worf is basically like, there's no Klingon women here. And so then he goes, Earth females are too fragile. And Guinan goes, not all of them. There are a few on this ship that would find you tame. And then Worf does the craziest laugh. And I loved the shit out of it.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then he goes, impossible. And then Guinan says, you never know till you try. And then Worf goes, then I will never know. And Guinan goes, coward. And then Worf goes, I was merely concerned for the safety of my crewmates. And then Guinan goes, drink your prune juice.
Yeah.
So then Riker calls Worf back up to the bridge just in time for like a rift to appear in space. And they're like, what is that? And then like they did like kind of like quite a nice transition, I guess, where like it flashes and then it goes to Picard in like a dark version of the Enterprise. And then it's revealed, this is Enterprise D, which is like in the future. And then they see Enterprise C, which is like
From the past.
in the past. Okay. But something huge. I had to pause and I this is the first time I cried in the episode. We see Tasha Yar.
Yay!
I fucking lost my mind.
Yay!
I was so happy. She looks incredible. Her hair slicked back. It was just so fucking nice to see her.
Yes. I was hoping it wouldn't be spoiled for you. This is the episode I kept warning you about because Tasha Yar's in the fucking thumbnail of the episode on Netflix.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't see it at all.
Yeah. Okay,
Good.
good.
My thumbnail is either the group or just Worf. It's either one or the other, but it's the same picture, just like the same picture of the group or same picture of Worf.
Yeah.
So, so complete, like, no spoilers. I got to see it. And, yeah, it was so fucking nice to see her. And then, okay, so I guess this is like the visually dark version of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And Guinan is wearing different colors and is like, wait a minute, something's not right. So in Enterprise D, the future version, they're well, I guess the current timeline version, because C is the past. Anyways, we'll get into that. So Picard's got like a fancy chair. He definitely seems like a little more stern. It's also, Enterprise D is more of like a warship-ish versus like the science-y explorer diplomat-y thing that the C was. Or I guess, is the current team, are they on the C?
No, they're on the D.
So no, like the in our real timeline, like our real crew, they're on the D?
They're on the D, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the C is a previous Enterprise.
Okay. I think I was just confused of like what their timeline was. So so our crew is basically if the C did what they were actually supposed to be doing versus going back in time.
Yes.
So they're the correct timeline, and then the dark D is the wrong timeline.
Yeah, okay. Our normal crew is on the Enterprise D, and then this version is just a version of the D that if the C like did their time travel bullshit, what would have happened.
So I had no idea what letter we were on. So I was like, I don't fucking understand what this timeline situation is. I was like, I don't get why we're being told this, because I thought we were the C and maybe there was like something changed on it. I truly had no idea that's what all that meant. Now I do get it, but when I was watching it, I was like, I truly don't get why we're watching this. Now it makes more sense. Okay, so Enterprise C, it was destroyed 22 years ago, 3 months and 4 days. They were fighting, I think they were answering a distress call from the Klingons, trying to save them from a Romulan attack.
Yes. And,
oh my gosh, Wes is in a red uniform. It's adorable.
He went to the academy in this timeline.
Oh. But also, like, I miss, no Worf, no Troy.
Yeah.
Like, it's a huge bummer.
This is actually the last time that everyone, like, the entire crew, the entire, like, main cast, who were from the beginning, is in the same episode. Because Troy's there right at the end. Wes is there.
At the beginning.
Yeah, sorry, at the end of the beginning. Worf is there at the beginning. And Wes is there through a good chunk of the middle of the episode. And, so... Oh, and you get to see Tasha, of course. So, yeah, last time that they're all together in the same episode.
Oh. But, yeah, everybody seems a little different. Picard and Riker do not seem to get along in this version. There seems to be tension every single time they talk to each other, and not good tension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in this timeline, they're in the middle of a war.
Yeah. So basically when they went back in time, it was like because they went back in time, the Klingons weren't, they didn't like die for trying to protect the Klingons. So then there like became a war between the Klingons and everybody else. And the Klingons are, I don't want to say killing it, literally and figuratively, but
they're kicking the Federation's ass.
Yeah. And it's truly came down to like this ship being destroyed, which is fucking wild. Yeah. So then we meet Captain Rachel Garrett, who is pretty great. Mm-hmm. I wrote in my notes, how does she have like excellent chemistry with Dr. C and Picard? Every time they talk to each other, I just was like, kiss.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they have good chemistry. And then we also meet Lieutenant Castillo, played by Christopher McDonald.
Yeah.
Of Grease 2 fame, and only Grease 2 fame. No, I'm kidding. I think he's a Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Amongst a ton of other shit.
It's weird for me seeing him in this episode because he kind of infamously plays a lot of douchebags and bad guys in like early mid-90s movies.
He was great in this.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time I liked him in something. Yeah. Like, I don't think he's a bad actor. A lot of his characters are assholes, so I didn't root for them. And in this, he was fantastic. Mm-hmm. But I do call him Chris in all of my notes. So, full disclosure, if I say Chris, that's who I'm talking about.
Fair enough.
I'd say, like, for Captain Rachel Garrett, she will be known as Rachel. Chris becomes friends with Tasha very quickly, and it's very nice and very sweet. So on the Enterprise C, there's like 125 survivors, and they have like 9 hours to save the ship, because otherwise Picard's just like, Matt, just like get rid of it, because they don't really understand the implications at this point.
Yeah.
So Guinan tells Picard, like, this is all fucking wrong. There should be families. There should be children. And then Picard's like, there's children on the Enterprise?
He's like, what?
What? It's like, yeah, there's some Picard.
Yeah.
So Rachel wants to know, like, what the fuck's going on? What ship are they on? And so they, like, have to tell her. And so this kind of, like, makes the people realize, oh, fuck, well, we're 22 years in the future. And if we go back, we're probably going to die, because in the history books, we all fucking died. So this is kind of messed up. But as it turns out, a lot of people are pretty okay with going back into their timeline, because they can't, according to Rachel, she says that, like, people don't want to really live without their loved ones. And then Chris, I laughed so hard at this. So Chris says to Yar, he's like, hey, oh wait, no, that's later. I'm thinking of something else that happens later. Oh, God, the timeline of this is confusing too. Well, not confusing. There's just so much that it's hard to keep track of what and what. And I'm trying not to look at my notes. So I did write in my notes, I'm like, is this implication that, like, would Worf be on one of the Klingon ships?
Maybe.
Or, like, what would have happened with, because, like, him and Troy obviously would exist, but, like, where would they be?
They were actually considering having Worf be the what do you call it, the surrender or die voice towards the ending, but they decided against it afterwards.
Like, I understand why Troy isn't there, but, like,
yeah,
because it's not a chill ship anymore.
Yeah. I mean, Worf might have died in the attack that killed his parents.
That's true.
Oh,
like,
my God.
I don't know if that still happens or not, but
that would have happened before the Enterprise C incident, so no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Worf is older than 22.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so then Worf would have been in the Federation, because he, like, if it happened before then, like, that, he ended up with humans anyway.
Yeah, he may not have been a Starfleet officer, though.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's, like, Klingon racism?
Yeah, he might not have made it into Starfleet, and he might have, like, chosen the Klingons if they were, if they went to war with each other, he might have, like, gone back or something. So yeah, unfortunately we don't know what Worf's situation is.
Yeah. So then, okay, so Yar brings Chris on, like, tells him about the Enterprise D, in which she says there's 42 decks, 6,000 troops, and I wrote, and how many bathrooms, Yar? How many bathrooms? And also, do they also have a mall?
Yeah, but it's just like guns and bullets and stuff.
Ugh.
It's like an army surplus.
Bullet.
Oh my God, that would be great. Oh, so Picard goes to speak to Guinan. Oh, I think she's wearing blue lipstick, and I love it.
Yeah.
It looks so good. Oh, so Guinan is like, we have to send the, like, Enterprise C crew back, because, like, none of this is right. It's like there's something very, very off, and, like, though I don't have proof, I can, like, feel it. And Picard, I just wrote, he's way angrier and, like, stern in this timeline.
Yeah.
I actually made a note of all of that in my notes. It's that all of these characters are familiar to us, but they're not familiar with each other. Like, they've clearly all been hardened by this timeline, by what's been happening throughout the last 20 years of their lives.
I mean, that's war for you.
Yep. War never changes.
I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Get out of my head.
I was thinking, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Turns out very little.
Okay, so then, like, Yar brings Chris into, like, I guess their version of 10 Forward, but 10 Forward is a little more boozy and, like, fun. This is a little more, like, bright, and which is weird, because it's literally the opposite vibe of the 10 Forward and, like, our version of the
It looks like a mess hall.
Enterprise D.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's more of a mess hall, and 10 Forward's like a bar lounge kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely got opposite vibes. And so, like, Guinan really, like, intensely stares at Yar. And then, oh my God, I will say, even though, like, I got very invested in this relationship between Yar and Chris because he's like, everybody calls me Castillo except for me because I call him Chris, and his mom because his mom calls him Richard. And then he's to Yar, but you can also call me Richard. And I was like, that's fucking cute as hell.
Yeah.
And it's just very sweet.
It's very cute, but I also can't help thinking, because of the way it's written and said, it's like, so you want me to call you the same thing as your mom?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I thought that too.
even though it is actually very sweet, but I can't help, like, the unfortunate implication with how the dialogue goes.
Who's your mommy?
Oh, God. No, hard pass. So, you know what I did think was interesting? So at this point, Picard brings everybody into, like, the room to have a discussion, but it looks like he's facing everybody, which I thought was a really interesting setup compared to, like, the our timeline version where it's like they sit at the boardroom, so they're all facing each other. So this was, everybody was facing Picard, so it definitely felt more warlike, of like, this is the general in charge, so like mass big. But whereas on our version, I keep wanting to say Taylor's version just because everything I keep seeing online is Taylor's version, so I keep wanting to say Taylor's version, even though, like, I don't really listen to Taylor Swift. It's just everywhere on right now, and I keep saying version, so I keep wanting to say Taylor's version. So Taylor's version of the Enterprise. No, I'm kidding. So, like, our version, it's more like, it's got the boardroom, so it feels more equal. Yeah. And people are like, it's easier for them to, like, share their opinions, versus this, it's like Picard is like he's not taking input. It's not an open space to discuss. He's just telling you what the deal is. Yeah,
it's more of a direct hierarchy.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really interesting change that I think, like, actually says quite a bit about, like, the difference between our Picard and that Picard.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but now that you pointed out, that is a very interesting detail.
Okay, so after that meeting, Geordi and Dr. C are like, who knows if anybody's even dead or alive, and this kind of, like, set, like, I don't know, Yar, all of this is kind of, like, a little weird, like, off to Yar. So she changed directions and goes in the lift with Data, and they like talk, and Data basically is like, you know, if they succeed in sending Enterprise C back, like, they wouldn't, like, on Enterprise D, they wouldn't even know anything happened, because they would fix whatever, and, like, they would just be living their own, you know, shit. And I was like, oh fuck. So then Rachel is like, Picard, why don't you, like, come back in time with us and defeat the Romulans? And Picard's like, listen, we're pretty fucked in our current timeline. Yeah. So, like, we can't fucking afford to go back to help you guys, because we're pretty fucked right now. And you guys going back could fix shit.
Yeah, but also it's like, you know, bringing someone from the future into the past is not any better. You know? Yeah. You could fuck like things up more that way.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so, like, Yar and Chris say their goodbyes, and he's like, you know, if I survive this, if you see, like, if you're on Earth and you see a 50-year-old, like, hit me up. Yeah.
Oh, yo, cute. I know we're not going to know each other, but date old me, please.
So Yar's on the ship, and right from there, I'm like, is Yar going to get fucking stuck on the EC? That's what I'm calling them now. ECED, whatever. So I'm like, is she going to get fucking stuck there? And then, because, like, the Klingon ship shows up, it's, like, hit a bunch of times, and then Rachel dies. And that's, like, a pretty upsetting shot. Yeah. Oh, Rachel. She was pretty great.
She has, like, a piece of metal in her forehead, and it's, like, you can see the gouge and shit. Yeah, it's... Yeah. They go pretty intense with the,
with the death. Oh, my God. Yeah. The deaths in this are upsetting.
Lighthearted fact, that piece of metal that was embedded into her skull was actually a model piece from an anime.
Okay.
It was a piece of a model that from some like anime that somebody was making, and they were just like, well, I have this extra piece.
An anime?
Yeah, like, it's from the one with the space battleship. I can't remember what it's called.
That's
right now.
a lot of animes.
Okay, it's the one with the space battleship that looks like a naval vessel. Sorry, space battleship was the wrong word. It looks like a space navy ship. Like, it looks like a boat, except it has rockets on the back of it, and it's like a battle cruiser.
I have no clue.
I think
But they were
it's
using a
literally
model
called...
for an animated show?
No. So, like, an actual anime, somebody was building the model, and they had an extra piece, and they decided to use that as, like, the piece that gouged into her skull.
Oh, okay. It was yeah, sorry, the way you said it, I thought you said that they were using it in the production of the anime.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah, I was like, I don't get it.
Oh, okay, but it was like a Gundam model or something, yeah. Okay.
The series that I'm thinking of was called Space Battleship Yamato.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Which, if you saw the ship, I'm sure
Wait.
you'd recognize, like, images of it, but yeah.
Okay.
Wait, and then there was another ship in TNG that was called the Yamato.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was named after that.
Oh.
Really?
Not after the anime, after the actual battle cruiser Yamato, which was
like a historical ship?
Yeah, it was the largest battle cruiser in all of history. It was part of the Imperial Japanese Navy in the Second World War, I think, or maybe the first, one of the two. But it was huge.
Wild.
Oh yeah, I guess that was another one of their sort of world building. The Earth is very connected
right.
And stuff now. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's why so many ships are not just named after fucking American ships.
Party.
Yeah.
So now Chris is like the last, like the only surviving like senior officer. So he's now in charge. So he like says goodbye to Yar again. They have a very cute exchange, and then they kiss, and then they're like, bye. It was a slice, and it was very cute. And so then Yar goes to chat with Gainen. This fucking destroyed me.
Yeah.
Like, it was a great scene, but holy fucking shit. So Yar basically asks Gainen, like, what happened to her, because she's like, something doesn't feel right. And so like Yar asks Gainen what happened to her in the other timeline, and Gainen's like, she doesn't think that they were meant to know each other. And she's like, Tasha, you're not supposed to be here. And then she's like, she basically tells her that she's like supposed to be dead, and she thinks that she had like an empty death. And I was like, yeah, I mean, the way that Yar died in season 1 was fucking heartbreaking, because it was fucking useless.
Yeah.
It was pointless, and I just I was like so upset. And then like, so Gainen's like, I do know it was an empty death, a death without purpose. And just I wrote, wow, Gainen, thanks. So then I just like, Yar is absolutely gonna die on the Enterprise C, like 100%. Like there's nothing else at this point. So Yar goes to speak to Picard to ask for a transfer to the other ship, because oh my god, this fucking line. I literally cried during this whole section. So then Yar goes, I've always known the risks that came with a Starfleet uniform. If I'm to die in one, I'd like my death to count for something. And I just was like, cool, thanks, guys. Way to fucking ruin my eyeliner. So, it was also Yara's like tactical experience. So she goes back on the ship, and bunch of Klingons show up. They start firing at Enterprise D, and Picard's like, let's make sure history never forgets the name Enterprise. And then they're like, we could outrun the Klingon ships, but we need to like stay to protect Enterprise C so they can travel back in time, because like to get back into that rift. And then so they're shooting, then like the Klingon, one of the ships blow up, and then like Enterprise D is getting fucking smashed. They keep hitting it, and then like then there's like a coolant leak, and I fucking thought they were gonna kill Geordi right there. There was like that flash of light, and I was like, oh my god, did they just fucking kill Geordi? And I was like, no, they didn't.
They were going to kill him.
I was like, I don't think I could handle that.
They were planning on having, in addition to killing him in that scene, they were planning on having a decapitation scene for Wes, and an electrocution scene for Data.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. With Data, it doesn't, because he's had like his near death experiences, but he's been able to be brought back pretty easily. I would be sad, but I don't think it would hit the same way as like if something fucking happened to Geordi or Wes, or like it's just like they can't do a second try, like they can't bring them back. So like I would have been very sad if anything happened to Data, but oh my god, the idea of decapitating Wes, I'm very happy they didn't show that.
Yeah. And that just, knowing what happened to Will Wheaton on the show, that feels very unfair.
Yes, I agree.
And targeted.
Yep.
Yeah, so then like Geordi though does live, thankfully. And then Riker fucking dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one that they kept the death scene in.
And that was also fucking, like, I didn't actually, like, he falls to the ground, and it's like, oh shit, is Riker dead? And then they show that his, like, looks like his throat was basically cut by, like, debris and shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, that's an intense fucking shot. I have some lingering feelings from the last episode about Riker, but this was, like, still very upsetting. And, yeah, did not fucking like that. So then the Klingons are like, surrender, Enterprise, prepare to be boarded. And Picard's like, that will be the day. And he jumps over the fucking control panel.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking funny. So he's like firing at the Klingons, and then Enterprise C is able to get through the rift. And then we cut back to our bridge crew, and Picard saying something, and Worf sticks his head out and he's like, yes, or whatever. I was like, oh, Worf. And I just wrote, it's bright again. We can actually see the bridge. So Guinan checks in on the bridge. And then, like, I was already, like, I hadn't fully, like, stopped crying at this point, but I still had tears, but it was, like, quiet. And then Guinan, because Guinan's in 10 forward, sits down at a table with Geordi, and then goes, fucking cry again. Then she goes, Geordi, tell me about Tasha Yar.
Yeah.
And then it ends. Oh my god, no. I fixed my makeup. I can't cry again.
Yeah. This episode is one of my favorites in the series.
It's fair. Now that I kind of understand the full scope, like, I get it now, and I do like it a lot, but holy shit. Seeing Yar back again.
Yeah.
Like, I loved seeing her, but my god, seeing her, like, I'm happy she got much more, like, a good chunk of the episode is focused on her.
Yeah.
And we got to really, like...
It really is her episode, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm not huge a fan of, like, retconning stuff, but 100%, please retcon. Like, I'm very much okay with this, of, like, let's have her die in a different way so it can, like, mean something rather than the bullshit way she died in season 1. So it was nice because now I can like see her in this version, and I like that we spent so much more time with her in this. It was like heartbreaking because I knew there's no way that she was going to make it out of the episode, but at the very least it was a much more satisfying, if this is the last time we see her, then this is a much more satisfying ending for her.
Yeah, I like that it very much feels like they basically wanted to make up, like, with what happened to her in the first season. They wanted to make up for it.
So it's actually quite interesting how this came about, because this was a spec script. Not entirely as it was, but, like, bits and pieces of it were, and the original concept was not going to be the Enterprise C, it was actually going to be the TOS ship. And they were the character who was going to go back and die was going to be Sarek, and he was going to sacrifice himself to like change the future for the better. And, like, different concepts of it were, like, tossed around for a little bit when they were looking at it, but they didn't have the right to rewrite it until they actually bought the script, because the spec script, it's like, we have an open door policy on scripts. Send us a script, we'll decide if we like it. If we do like it, we'll buy it, and then we'll do our own rewrite on it. So the guy who contributed to it had actually been part of Star Trek before, and he had worked with one of the regular writers on the show before. and his contributions before were mostly pretty minor, but I mean, he was familiar with the series. But he wanted to do a throwback episode that contained the whole original series crew and had to do with the Guardian of Forever and all this stuff. And they weren't really interested in doing that with TOS. Actually, hilariously, Rick Berman said that if he had known that he was going to be making TNG movies, he would have kept this script for one of those instead, and then done the throwback to the original series people with that, because he thought that would have been a much better transition. And I admit there probably could have been, but I mean, this is one of the episodes that started to solidify TNG as a popular series. This was the most watched episode of the season.
Yeah, honestly, like, looking at the episodes coming up, this is the first in a solid run of really good episodes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So Michael Piller talked to the guy who submitted the spec script and said, look, I like it. We want to do things to it, but here are the things that we're definitely not going to do. A, because of our policies regarding time travel, and we really don't want to look past those. And B, regarding like going back to the TOS crew, that would be really expensive, prohibitively. We're not going to do anything like that. And so he suggested, you want to deal with an important character. How about one that we've already dealt with before? How about Tasha Yar? And so he resubmitted the spec script with a story involving Tasha instead, and ended up surrounding the story around her. And holy shit, hilariously, they only had something like 3 days after buying the script because of a change in schedule in order to like get this into the writer's room and workshop it. So
that's why there's so many names on it, because like the teleplay buy is like there's
had like 4 names or something.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot.
So yeah, in order to get it into a shootable script, and it's amazing because like the cinematography in this episode is fantastic.
Oh yeah, I love the lighting on the alternate Enterprise.
Yeah, but like even some of the dialogue scenes, like the second scene between Picard and Gainen in the observation lounge, where he's literally like yelling at her. That is a fantastic scene with some amazingly written dialogue. So I'm almost wondering how much they changed from teleplay to script. Like, I'm wondering if maybe they just had something really good to go on, because the writers apparently did not really expect that this would go well. They thought it was going to be a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I mean, with the circumstances, I could definitely see betting on that outcome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And honestly, like, we can see it came out absolutely fantastically. And I think that might just be that's a combination of the power of the original script, but I think the actors all brought something extra to this when they were able to re-reprise their original characters without that familiarity between them. I thought that went a really long way to making the episode more interesting, because they are like serious with each other, not as a matter of script. Like they are also as a matter of script, but it's in all of their tone and their delivery. These are not friendly people with each other. They're just co-workers in a really difficult, stressful time.
Yeah, they definitely, like, everyone got to like add a bit more nuance to their characters.
Yes.
Not more nuance, but like they got to play with the nuances of their characters. And I think it probably meant something to everyone that they were basically redoing Tasha Yar's death.
Denise Crosby has gone on record to say this is her favorite episode of the series, notwithstanding.
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, like, this is one of my favorite episodes of the series.
Yes,
hands
I agree.
Down. Like, it's up there.
I think the only downside to it is that for a casual watcher, it's not quite as powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's not as powerful if you don't know the context behind Tasha Yar's character.
Yeah.
It is a very interesting episode. And Dory, something exciting for you is that there actually will be long-lasting consequences from this episode.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Despite hitting the reset button.
Yeah, it'll be a while before you see them, but yeah.
I mean, this episode alone, it had a lot of like the alternate Enterprise D, because it was in a future where like the timeline could be changed. So like, I knew there was like a good chance someone could die, will die. That's why when like the explosion in like the and like with engineering, I was like, oh, is that Geordi fucking gonna die? Because like I knew it could happen.
Yeah.
Because they're going into the past, because this is not like a set future, right?
Yeah.
So.
And it's like even though like this isn't our Riker that dies, it is a Riker that dies. You know, so it does hit different. But yeah, like I said, like it'll be a while before you see the consequences of this episode, but there are like lasting consequences.
Yeah.
And eventually our crew does find out that this event happened.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because so to explain the sort of enterprises, like because I know that was confusing.
Well, before I understood the actual timeline of it, I get it now. But
Yeah.
like when I was watching it, I was like, I don't get why the fuck we're watching. Like, not like why we're watching. Obviously, it's an episode.
Yeah.
But I was like, why are we with this crew? Like, what do they have to do? Because I thought we were the C, and this was like an alternate of the C. But now I get no, we're the D. This is just what would happen if that ship hadn't. Like, if that ship left,
Yeah.
or went through that rift, versus if they stayed. Because if they stayed, that's our team. Mm-hmm. But when they win the rift, it's the alternate Enterprise D.
Yeah.
So I get it now, but when I was watching it, I did not.
Yeah. Yeah. What's cool is that like because so in the original series, it's just 1701 Enterprise. That's it. And then in one of the movies, they sort of redid the ship, and that was the Enterprise A. And then in another movie, they had the Enterprise B. And then they did TNG, and they skipped C and made it the Enterprise D. So to my knowledge, there had never been any mention or story about the Enterprise C. So in this episode, that's what they decided to make up a story about what the deal is with the Enterprise C and what happened to it.
I think they did a good job, because they also, like, I thought Rachel was a good character. I thought Chris was a good character.
Yeah.
And so it was nice that, like, even though we knew, like, they had to go back to do this thing, it was nice to, like, get to know these people. And especially because, like, I love Tasha. So having her, like, form, like, a bond with this guy, and then knowing that he's going to go back, and then, like, I just... the characters they introduced for this episode, I think... they did a really good job of it.
Yeah.
And made me care more, because we knew that, okay, now this is someone we know, and we know he has to go back in time, and we know he has to die. We know all of them have to die, but now we know them. So there's a face to, like, Enterprise C. So now it's more sad to know these are people that chose to go back to save, like, who knows how many people that would result in, like, all this war. So,
I mean, Gainen says 40 billion.
Oh my God. I didn't think I even caught that. But yeah, it's heartbreaking. And yeah, man, stakes were very high.
Yeah, yeah. Because, yeah, do you understand, like, why it was important for them to go back? Like what the situation was?
Yeah, because they died to like trying to protect the Klingons. The Klingons see that as like a brave death, because they're like trying, but then because they were trying to protect them from the Romulans, but if they leave, then that means they didn't help protect the Klingons.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's like they're now in the war because they didn't stay and help. They just like left them to die. So they had to go back to die with the Klingons because then it's like, yep, we gave a shit, we came to help you, and the Klingons see that as an honorable death.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. It's wild, like, there's so much of, like, technical and, like, what other people's stances, because it's not even, like, the Enterprise. It's, like, the Klingons, what they think is, like, important, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I think that actually makes the Klingons kind of a little bit more interesting, in my opinion, of, like, because they left, like, immediately, okay, fucking enemy. But if they stay, they're an ally, and they died honorably to, like, trying to save us. So I find that really interesting.
The thing is, though, is that the Klingons, at least the way they explain it in the episode, the Klingons don't think that they left. Like, they don't know anything about it, because they said there was no record of the Enterprise C going to help at all. So no one in
But it said that They said that they disappeared at that location though, at the something 3 with an N. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But they said that was the last time they were heard of, was where the Klingons needed help.
Yeah, but they don't know that they were there to help. There was no evidence that they were responding to a distress signal, or that they were there to help. That they were in the area. For all we know, they were helping the Romulans.
So then why would the Klingons have had war with everybody else then?
So the way it's implied in the episode, it's not that they went to war because of that incident. It's because, I guess, negotiations eventually broke down, but in our timeline, they died honorably and they sacrificed, and I guess that contributed to the peace negotiations going well.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not that they went to war because of that incident, it's that they don't go to war because of that incident.
Yeah.
In the regular timeline.
I got half of that. So I knew that they don't go to war because of that, but I didn't realize they go to war not because of that.
Yeah.
The Klingons are aggressive and they like battle. They want to start wars and they get offended very easily.
Yeah. So it's basically, I think the way the episode is implying, because they don't straight up say, because the dude asks about it, Chris is like, oh, we were negotiating peace when I left. And Tasha's just like, a lot changes. So what I got from it is that because that incident didn't happen, because the Klingons don't know that they were there to help, negotiations just broke down. But history changed when they died an honorable death, and that contributed to
the peace.
The peace, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess if they saw okay, well, they came to try to help us, that definitely is
yeah, they're
they tried.
These are honorable people, so there is a possibility of peace with them.
Yeah, yeah, that part
or they respect them.
Yeah, that bit I got. I thought that it started the war because they didn't help them. Okay, so now I know. No, it's just other shit.
Yeah. I mean,
cool.
It could have. We don't really get a clear answer, but that's kind of what that's what I got from it, from the sort of brief implications that we get.
I like Gainen got a lot to do this episode.
Yeah, it was nice to see Gainen again.
We don't get to see Gainen as much as I would like. And I think the scenes with I really, really like how in the alternate timeline, Gainen knew that that she wasn't supposed to know Yar. But then in our timeline, she wants to know Yar.
Yeah.
And I thought that's so fucking cute and so sweet.
Yeah, because it's kind of implied that she, I guess, remembers what happened in the alternate timeline, or at least has some vague sense of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really cute, and I thought it was I really love that it's even though in our timeline no one knows this happened, there is someone there who has a crumb of Tasha's memory and what she did.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Fucking destroyed me.
Yeah, I was so excited to get to this episode because I really I was really excited to see how you would react to this episode.
I reacted poorly.
I'm glad. It's just so funny looking back on just how invested you've become in all the characters. It's I'm very happy because I love Star Trek so much.
It's funny because there's shows that I've watched for more years that I'm probably less invested in than now that I think it's because for a lot of the shows I watch, I mean, I sit by myself, I watch on Netflix, and then, here and there, if I have a friend who watches the show, we'll discuss, here and there, and that's great. But I don't sit down and analyze anything the way we do for Star Trek. So this and we have the discussions, so there's stuff that as a casual viewer I probably wouldn't. I mean, to be fair, even as someone who like is analyzing and writing notes, I do miss a bunch of stuff here and there. But I don't think if I really like if we weren't doing this, I don't think I would be as invested. I mean, I like everybody. I don't think that would change. But I don't think like I probably would have been like upset at Yar's original death, but I don't think I would have like been as devastated as I was. And then like seeing Yar again in this, every time Yar comes up I cry. Yeah. So like in this, I basically like I guess maybe 3 rather than 2-ish, like because I cried when we first saw her, and then I cried the whole entire conversation with her and Gainen, and like, well, not the entire, when she was like, "You're not supposed to be here," and then her talk with Picard, and then at the end when Gainen was like, "Tell me about Tasha Yar," I was like, there goes my eyeliner. So yeah, I don't think this would have been like as devastating if I wasn't like so like I didn't like Yar so much. But I mean, this is what I get for actually like, you know, analyzing a fucking show. So now I'm invested, and now, you know, any TNG thing that comes up, I'm like, oh wait, tell me more, because now I care. Thanks guys, you've made me a Trekkie.
Yay.
Good.
One of us.
Yeah, I keep like having all these ideas of cross stitches I want to make for the show to put up in my home, and just like it's too many ideas at this point. Like that's how I'm invested. I'm like, I want to make one for Worf. I want to make one for Wesley's sweaters. I want to.
Should just work on a big, huge tapestry.
Oh my God. Nobody would see me again. I just make a thing of the Enterprise, but like an intersection of different scenes that I loved in different rooms. Oh my God, no, that's a terrible idea. I should not do that. I'm not going to do that, agree. But that's like now in my head, and that's I'm not doing it. That's too much work. But now that it's in my head, I don't know. Maybe one. No, don't do it. That's a bad idea. That's too much to do. I'm psyching myself out of something I suggested to do to myself.
Yeah. No one's making you do it. You don't have to do it. Yeah,
but, you know, sometimes I set these weird standards and say, yeah, I'm going to do it. Why? No reason other than to freaking torture myself. Like I said, I'm going to write a fan fiction-y episode. I haven't yet. I've come up with some ideas. I still will. Nobody's holding this, like, against me. Nobody's holding, like, me to any standard for this. Nobody's saying I have to do it, but I said I was going to do it. And it's a pain in the ass, but I'm still going to do it at some point before we end, like some point during this run. I will write a Star Trek episode.
Nice.
Or a fan fiction for it at the very least.
There is absolutely going to be more instances of inspiration for you for that coming forward. So I think waiting might even be a good idea.
Oh my God. I mean, I've got some notes. The only thing I will say for the listeners, a mall will be involved. The mall will be involved.
Of course, you have to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I am legally obligated. I can't talk about the mall this many times without involving that in my fake story.
I have one question that I wish I could direct this at the VFX team, but why is the Enterprise C moving towards the rift at approximately like half a kilometer per hour?
Yeah. I don't know why they're going so slow.
Because, like, when you get that shot from the side, it's clearly moving at, like, a normal pace for it to be, like, doing it safely. But, like, guys, when we're seeing it from every other angle, it's moving, like, an inch. Come on.
Yeah. I guess you could be a real dick and just explain it of like, well, in space the perspective is skewed. It's actually moving very fast. It just looks slow.
Like, I do like the fact that...
Maybe the rift is very big.
I do like the fact that in Star Trek, space battles are not, you know, rushy, fast. It's... These are big, lumbering ships. These are two battleships firing torpedoes at each other. Like, they capture that way better in Wrath of Khan than they usually do in the show, because the show, they've got a limited budget, so I get it. But, like, so I do appreciate that. But, oh, it's so slow sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just not to a realistic point.
Oh, and Dory, random side note. Those uniforms that the people on the sea were wearing are from the movies.
Oh.
Yeah. So the movies that are set, that are with the original series cast, you know, they're set a little bit further into the future, and that's what the uniforms are like during that era. Yeah.
Party. They were nice. I like the red.
Yeah.
Not that there isn't red on the current uniforms, but I liked I like that red too.
Yeah. The rank insignia are really fucking weird, though, on those uniforms, I find.
Yeah, because they're well, it's similar to the way that they did it in original series.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's not obvious. Well, in original series, it was like the little gold trim on the sleeves, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So it was just like how many lines of trim you had, basically.
Yeah. So, Dory, for the record, those uniforms, they just took them straight out of the films, and they end up being, like, technically within Star Trek, they're the longest surviving uniforms of any of them, because they last something like 75 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But we physically don't see much from that era, so we don't see them a lot, but if you go by, like, Star Trek lore, they're, like, the longest running uniforms.
They are a bold look.
I thought that Guinan's communique at the end was actually quite sweet. I liked how they did it.
Yeah.
Oh, there is one more thing I wanted to say. The fucking, what's it called? Maggie, I mentioned this to you earlier in the season, but the sound effect from the...
Oh, yeah, the whistle.
Yeah, the all hands hail. Fuck, it's same instance that it was last time. There's music going over it at the same time. I can't pull it out, and I'm so unhappy about that. And
I think Riker's finishing talking over the beginning of it too.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it really sucks that specific sound effect you can't find. You know what I really wish is that, so in school we had access to a professional sound library, and they had a lot of Star Trek sounds in it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and I didn't think to steal it like a bunch of other people did.
Oh, well.
Like, they just downloaded, like, the whole library. I didn't think to do that. There would be no guarantee that sound's in there, but it would have been cool to have. Yeah, so I think with that, we should move on to favorite moments.
I liked Worf and Guinan at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Worf's laugh is very funny. I loved seeing Yar again, even though it destroyed me.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Christopher McDonald was fun in this.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Picard's jump over the control panel.
Yeah, that was very funny. That moment always stands out to me.
I loved Yar's scene with Picard was really sweet near the end. And then when Chris and Yar were saying goodbye in the transporter room, he goes, we keep saying goodbye, don't we? And then Yar goes, I wish we had more time. And then Chris goes, more time? I think we had all of the time we can handle as it is, which I think was very cute. And then they kiss, and then he leaves, and it's very sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and obviously the last scene with Guinan asking Geordi to tell her about Yar. Most is very Yar and Guinan based.
Yeah.
This episode. I liked it.
Yeah. I kind of have basically all of the same favorite moments. Like, I think my absolute favorite is that combo of the scene with her talking to Guinan and then Picard. Mm-hmm. Where, Guinan does the reveal of, like, you're dead in the other timeline and your death was, like, meaningless. And then her going to Picard being like, let me do this and let me sacrifice myself. Let my death mean something. So, yeah. And of course, and in terms of funny moment, it's, Picard jumping over the control panel.
For me, it's actually the the beginning scene, what do you call it? Once they transition over to the alternate timeline, I felt like they did a really good job of introducing you to that timeline and the fact that it's different as much as possible. They used a lot of really good layered cinematography for that. The reveal with Tasha is absolutely fantastic, especially
Yes.
since that particular shot they go back to twice. They do it at the very beginning when it's Worf standing there instead, and so the juxtaposition between him turning back to Worf in the regular timeline and in the alternate timeline him turning back to Tasha is meant to show us that things are different. But then they show us that things are back to normal again by reusing that shot again towards the very end. And I'm just like, this is some extremely well-planned storyboarding and cinematography, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that's really good directing.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
shot
definitely.
selection. Yeah, I love the lighting and the world building. Like, I thought they did some really good world building where they had a lot of stuff that wasn't explicitly stated, but you really got, like, you could really feel how different this timeline is.
Yes. And not gonna lie, every time I see it, when Picard delivers that one speech at the end, the let's not let history forget the name Enterprise one.
Yeah.
I always tingle a little bit. I'm just like,
Yeah, it's so great.
It's a good speech, and I know that it's just meant to be like fucking feel good, like spaceship nationalism kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like it's wholesome when we're talking about the Enterprise because they feel like a family, and I love that. They're not just concerned about their legacy; they're concerned about leaving a positive legacy, and I think that really shines through in Picard, no matter what universe he's from.
Yeah. And one thing I forgot, too, is the exchange between Guinan and Picard when she's trying to convince him to send them back. And he's like, there's the first exchange and then there's a second one, right? Before he makes his decision to send them back. That second one I really like when he's like, I need more. Give me more to give a reason to send them back. And she's like, I don't have any. Like, you just have, like, my intuition. And he's like, that's where he yells. He, like, smacks the table. And he's like, damn it, like, not good enough.
Yes.
You know?
I think what I really loved about that scene, I wrote this down immediately when I was watching it, but in that moment, Picard trusts Guinan. Mm-hmm. But his trust in Guinan, he believes her 100%. But he can't give that to the crew.
Yeah. If
he were familiar with the crew like he is in our regular timeline, he probably could. But just going on that, it doesn't feel like enough for him, and he is so frustrated that he needs more. But like, yeah, I agree that scene does it for me too. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and the sort of reveal that the war, like the situation, is actually way worse than most people know.
Yes.
That's really good.
I did like that.
Yeah. All right, so with that, we should move on to predictions for the next episode. So Dory, the next episode is a Data episode.
Ooh, we haven't had one in a long time.
Yeah. So this episode is called The Offspring.
Oh.
And your tidbit is that we get to explore parenting from an android perspective.
Oh. Okay, interesting. Oh, I have like two sort of trains of thought here. One is like Data has to take care of someone's human child, or Data, or what if, okay, you know what? This is a more weirdly specific one. So, and probably, okay. So maybe somebody else created a new, no, it doesn't be literally a child. Nobody said that. Parenting could be at any age. Okay. So say somebody created like a new android, but there was some like kinks in it or something. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, Data might be the best, resource to sort of like help this android like fit in on whatever ship that they're going to be going to. Because Data spent so much time trying to learn about, like, you know, being human. And so maybe this android needs that, like, little bit of empathy or something, needs to learn that stuff. Because, like, yeah, I suppose, like, you can be programmed for stuff, but I think the, like, human nature shit Data has been learning. It's not something that he's been programmed. So maybe the fact that Data does have some, like, strives to have some of the human qualities is something that's ended up being like a huge asset. So maybe new android with like to have practical training for Data to do some training on an android for a different ship.
Oh, okay, cool.
Or he literally has to take care of someone's kid.
Well, if you'd like to see which theory is right, or if either theory is right, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.